call a meeting of the Ames Board of Trustees to order. And let's all stand and give a pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, members, next is the approval of the agenda, and I would like to make one little change, and that would be under 8.1, that we move that back to 11, what would be the next, D? So it would be the last item in that section.
So you're moving A to the end? Okay.
Yeah, 8A
Okay.
to 11D. And there is a reason for that, which will sort itself out as we go along. Any objections? Then can we approve the agenda with that change? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I don't know who did the, Jean, thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lyle. Sorry. What did I do? Anyway. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Public comment. Timothy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. It's a quiet day. There are no public comments. Imagine that.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have the consent agenda, and members, you've had this in your packet for a week or so now. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I would so move.
Second?
Thank you, Lyle. Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion has carried. Okay, representatives to the board. And I think we start out with Chris Warren.
Good afternoon to the board, Chair Peterson, President Bornstein. Excited to share some updates on all the things that our students have been doing here in the last couple months. So starting with some student organization updates, we have the Creative Writing Club. They visited on the 17th of October. They visited the Immigrant and Refugee Center of Northern Colorado to volunteer their time. And on the 23rd, Phi Theta Kappa had their fall induction ceremony for new members. Moving on to some of our student-run events, I wanted to quickly amend a number that I reported at the last Board of Trustees meeting regarding the October Halloween trick-or-treat track numbers. So in November, I reported that over 400 individuals participated in the event. That was kind of a guesstimate of us there that had kind of kept head count. And after doing a more concise count through, it was actually in and around 800 members that showed up to the trick-or-treat track in October. So we can't count. It's all good, though. For this month, December, the Campus Activities Programming Board, they've been running the Beat the Freeze with Hot Treats event. They've just been at random spots at random times on all of our campuses, handing out hot chocolate and hot drinks for our students that are cramming for finals and all of that. So they've been doing that for the last couple of weeks. As for future student-run events, none for the new semester are on the calendar yet. However, the CAP board does meet on Friday, and they sit down for 6 hours to plan out the entire next semester's worth of events and such. So you thought these meetings were long. That one is a doozy. So another update just in the area of student leadership is that for the first time in a really long time, we had 10 students who participated in a 12-hour training over the course of a couple days. It was followed by an extensive exam, and they became certified peer educators. So this training is offered by the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators, or commonly called NASPA. And the names of those students are listed in the written report, but they go through, I just got my hands on the manual that they go through. They go through like an 120-page workbook in 12 hours. And so it does everything from programming knowledge to diversity training to all sorts of other stuff that they get trained and equipped on. So congrats to them for passing the exam on the first time, all 10 of them. So yeah. Moving on. If I can find my spot. Oh yes, on to SGA business. So for November, half of our team went to a conference in New York City, and the other half of us went to Baltimore for a different conference as well. I personally went to the one in Baltimore and got to learn a lot more, just get a lot more information around Title IX and sexual assault prevention on college campuses, and learn a lot of different stuff too. So that was a lot of fun for all of us. I know me and my colleagues learned a lot throughout that. Moving on. SGA also hosted another student gathering last Thursday. We call it a study hall with student government. We just wanted to provide a place we set up in the CDI, just provide a place where students can kind of come and get through some final studying there. And that stuff. And so we had different de-stress events. They could do some like Play-Doh making stuff, or we had like a bin of Orbeez that they were messing around with, but just different things for them to de-stress with in and around finals time. Our attendance was a little low for the event. We had in and around 30 students show up, but not too surprising given that it happened right after the Thanksgiving break. A lot of students are kind of checked out at this point, maybe even myself a little bit.
There was something called a snowstorm.
Yeah. Thank you. And so that kind of wraps up that. I just wanted to say lastly, as most of us know, this is Carol Ruckel's last meeting with us, and I just wanted to say personally thank you for everything that you've given this college over the last 8 years. You've been to so many different events of ours and have really represented the students well. And so, yeah, sincerely thank you for everything that you've done. You will definitely be dearly missed. So,
Thank you. You're welcome.
yeah. And with that kind of concludes my report for this month. Does the board have any
questions?
additional questions?
Comments? Okay, thank you, Chris.
Alrighty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and I'll see you in the new year with another report.
Okay. And Brooke? For Faculty Association?
Good afternoon, trustees, Dr. B, Chair Peterson. We are going to just kind of glance over some of these things today rather than delving all the way into them, but I was going to start with one of the exhibits that you probably saw when you were just in the hallway. Did you see the blue sheets hanging up out there, the cyanotype? So Stephanie Burchett is an art instructor, and she did that with her art appreciation classes. So they all got out and they were laying and doing all kinds of fun things out in the hallways, and it was really interesting. So that is something that's in the Ed Beatty Hall here. Then a publication that just came through, Associate Professor of History, Dr. Michael Booker, did a book review of The World Transformed, which is published by Oxford University Press. We've had several conferences lately. We have 5 English department faculty members that both went to conferences and presented there as well. So we had instructor Joe Schick, full-time instructors Joanna Sherman and Josh Savage, Professor Leslie Morrison, and Professor Allison Easley attended the 2-year College English Association in Southwest Conroe, Texas. So it was a regional conference. They focused on English instruction in community colleges, and Joe Schick gave a presentation entitled Using the Space Between autoethnography in the community college. And then Allison Easley, Leslie Morrison, and Joanna Sherman gave a presentation titled TED, OER, and OWL. That's all about open educational resources and writing resources and trying to get people to write better in the community college setting. So they all went down to Texas to do that. Our instructor of music, Stephanie Baker, presented Mary Elich, pioneer angel of Denver's music. Actually went down to Arapahoe Community College. They have a history camp there, so she went to present that paper. It's actually part of a book that she has written about history of music in early Colorado. So it's all about Mary Elich and how she contributed to music in our state, and then she went down and presented it at a history camp. Who knew? That sounds fun, right? Okay. So community involvement, we have quite a bit here. Assistant Professor of Social Sciences and Business Technology, Mark Moody, is the other rep, was appointed to the High Plains Library Foundation Board of Directors. We have English instructor Karen McCurley Hardesty and Director Dre Shard took 34 seniors from the ECA and took their lit classes to see A Doll's House at the Denver Center for Performing Arts on November 6th. Instructor of art Ken Price visited a Chicano art exhibit with his Loveland Art Appreciation class. We are doing things, we're going places, right? A lot of students got to go out and do different field trips over these past couple months here. So then on November 3rd, nearly 25 Ames students from literature classes here on the Greeley campus, online campus, and ECA attended the Fort Collins Reads author talk by Luis Alberto Urrea, along with 4 full-time faculty members. We had Allison Easley, Karen McCurley Hardesty, Leslie Morrison, Joanna Sherman. They all took this college book discussion that they have been doing, the House of Broken Angels, and went with Front Range Community College and got free tickets for all of them and went to the author read in Fort Collins and had a Q&A at the end of it. The author got to sign their books, and how many? 25 students were there. Okay, moving forward. Professor of Spanish and Humanities at the ECA, Dr. Anna George, organized a field trip for her humanities class as well, the Art and Cultures of Mexico. They went to the Museo de las Americas in Denver, and they attended a workshop examining use of murals as a form of social and political expression. They also did another workshop where they designed and assembled 12 altars honoring notable figures and artists who have passed away. They're absolutely beautiful. We have pictures of those in the packet. Lastly, I have an award on here for Professor of Mathematics, Janine Lewis. She was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award in Developmental Education at the Fall 2019 Colorado Association for Developmental Education Conference. Janine has been teaching developmental math for over 30 years at this point, has served on the executive board of the Colorado Association for Developmental Education. She is now on the National Association for Developmental Education as well as the treasurer. Janine Lewis is currently serving on the Conference Planning Committee for National Organization for Student Success as well. And she has had a wonderful career in education. She'll be retiring from Ames this December, so we will miss her, as we will miss you, Carol.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have the same sentiments as SGA does. We thank you for all of your support for faculty, students all over Northern Colorado. We see you at all sorts of events, and we still hope to see you at these events, and we'll miss you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen, for Ames Staff Association.
Good afternoon. So we meet again. Chair Peterson, members of the board, Dr. B. Let's see, back in November on the 22nd, we had our annual volunteering event at the Weld Food Bank. We had 20 volunteers, including a few alumni and some community members. Half of the group put together holiday boxes, and the other half put potatoes in 10-pound bags. And all together, the groups did 2 tons of work in 3 hours. So it's always nice to be able to serve our community. And in addition to that, so for those of you who may or may not know, the Weld Food Bank, they have a tree that lists out all volunteers. And as part of that, when you become a volunteer, you get a bronze plaque. And for each hour of volunteering, you move up to silver and then gold level. And I heard recently that Ames is approaching the silver level of volunteering. Last year we had roughly 230 hours total, and we're nearly approaching the 500 hours mark to reach that silver level. So we're waiting to hear what our numbers were for 2019. So hopefully we're getting a little closer. I do have some staff accomplishments I'd like to share. We do have an academic affairs staff member who wished to remain anonymous, but they wanted to let us know that they are serving the community in their Neighborhood Properties Association for a 2-year role, and also recently attended the Association of College and Research Libraries Conference in Cleveland. And then also Brianne Ostoyich-Akers, Director of Accreditation and Compliance. She was nominated to participate in the 34th Annual Academic Management Institute Colorado Network of Women Leaders 2019-2020 cohort. AMI includes 4 conferences focused on developing effective leadership and management skills, managing change, navigating campus politics, understanding diversity and inclusion issues, and enhancing strategies. 52 nominees from 18 Colorado and Wyoming institutions are a part of the 2019-20 cohort. Congratulations, Brianne. And finally, you were provided the Ripples in Recognition report in the board report, but I'd like to just recognize a few of our staff members. First is Judy Eaton. She's the functional analyst for academic affairs. She was nominated by Meg Spencer, who's a faculty coach. When Judy joined our assessment team earlier this year, she jumped in with positive energy, expertise, and an authentic desire to provide quality support to faculty and staff. Judy operates with this approach. How can we make this easier? Recently, her remarkable skill for organizing systems improved our ability to track and process countless assessments at the course and program level. For chairs and directors, she's piloting a spreadsheet that will tremendously minimize the time required for assessment leads to input the course selections that faculty will be assessed. At the program review level, Judy has replaced a multi-page report with a one-page graphic that captures data and trends. This helps chairs and directors make informed decisions about teaching and learning that will help empower our students to succeed. Always an optimist, she responds to the unexpected with, "We'll figure it out one step at a time." When Judy joined our assessment team, she brought a professional work ethic that embodies excellence. She is remarkable. The second is Randy Souther, the PSI director out in Windsor, nominated by Stacy Tukanzik, staff associate. I would like to thank Randy for being the leader that he is. I have worked for Randy for about 10 years, and he has always been a positive leader and a role model. Not only is he encouraging and supportive, he also always makes sure to give constructive criticism that makes you want to work harder to be a better employee and a better human being. He is one of the reasons that I am where I am today, and for who I am today as well. He took a chance on a work study and has assisted me to reach my full potential, not only as an employer, but as a future leader. The opportunities he has given me have been the key to my success here at Ames and in my personal life. I feel very grateful to work under such a positive example of who I strive to be in my career. I will never be able to express the gratitude that I feel with the tools and the guidance he has given me. Thank you, Randy, for taking a chance on me all of those years and for seeing in me what I strive to see in myself every day. And finally, Emily Russell, Human Resources Specialist, nominated by Christine Gomez, Staff Executive, Allied Health and Wellness. Since I started working at Ames in June, Emily has gone above and beyond to not only make me feel at home here at Ames, but she has never hesitated to answer any and all of my many questions. With her knowledge and willingness to help me, I was able to create a document on how to hire part-time instructors. This document will not only help our allied health chairs, but it will be distributed to all chairs throughout the college. Without Emily's help, I would not have been able to create such a needed document. Emily is very responsive and detailed. She is a real team player. Go, Emily. And finally, not to be a copycat, but Trustee Ruckle, thank you so much for your service. And on behalf of the association, we will miss your service. So thank you so much. And we wish you all happy holidays and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7, President's Report. Dr. B.
Thank you. I would like to invite Shannon McCaslin, Dean of Students, and Abby Rodriguez, our student, for the Excellence at Ames portion of our agenda.
So fun. Abby has a little cheerleading squad back there, including a supporter of hers from elementary school. And so I want to say welcome to the cheering squad. Good afternoon, board. Today I have the privilege of introducing you to Abby Rodriguez, another of our remarkables. In May, she joins an elite group of Union Colony High School students to concurrently earn an Associate of Science degree at Ames and her high school diploma. All of this probably before she's 18. Just last month, okay, she's 18. Just last month, she learned she was accepted to the Colorado School of Mines. We can see this on the screen. She'll major in civil engineering and minor in architectural design. Abby told me that Ames is launching her, opening opportunities for her to go further, faster. But I also know, and many of us know, that she is launching Ames as she builds the Ames Rodriguez legacy. As many of us know and remember working with her mother as an undergraduate here who graduated from here and now works on our team. And so I introduce to you to tell you a little more of her story, the remarkable Abby Rodriguez.
Hello to the Board of Trustees. Thank you for having me here today. It's a great honor. But before I begin, I would like to thank and recognize a few people. So would Azanet and Efren Rodriguez, Janet Chase, Mr. Joyner, Mr. Rouse, and Miss Wagner please stand? I would just like to personally thank you all and recognize each of you for everything that you've done for me and for helping me improve and become a better person and be who I am today. So, my name is Abby Rodriguez, and I am a member of the Campus Activities Programming Board. I'm a sophomore in college, a senior in high school, and a concurrent enrollment student. So my journey at Ames actually began when I was about 6 years old while my mom was still here. She used to have trio advisor meetings, so she'd meet with her trio advisor, and sometimes she'd bring my little sister and I with her. So I remember coming here since I was 6 years old with my coloring book and my colored pencils and just waiting for Mom to get out. And a few years later, when my mom was in public speaking with Julia Weingart, I was about 12 years old. And I remember there was one day that she didn't have anybody to take care of us, so she brought us with her. And Julia was gracious enough to let us stay in her class. In fact, she brought my sister and I up to the very front of the room, and she sat us down like front row college students. And so she proceeded to continue with her class just as if we were any other college student and like interacted with us as if we were college students. And so that was really impactful. And little did she know that 4 years later I would be in her front row once again, but this time as an enrolled student. So as a 16-year-old, when I was taking her class, I managed to pass it with a B, so I'm really glad that I did. I actually took my first college course here when I was about 14 years old. It was college algebra, and I remembered I was absolutely terrified. I felt like, I was only 14. I was barely even a teenager. Like, how am I supposed to fit in with all of these college students? Like, it was really scary. And so I remember that my mom told me, always sit in the front and greet your professors, so that way they get to know you and you get to know them. And so I've tried applying that to all of my classes ever since then. And Ames has provided me with so many amazing opportunities, and I really am grateful. Like, being on the CAP board, it's such an amazing experience, and I really do love it here. So when my mom was in college, she had this amazing nursing advisor, and I knew that when I came to Ames eventually, I wanted her to be my advisor too. And so that amazing woman is Janet Chase. She is the Campus Activities Programming Advisor as well as my boss. So I would just like to say thank you for everything that you've done to me, for me, and and to me for helping me become a better person. And so she impacted my mom, and because of that, I'm able to be here today, and I'm really grateful for that. So, throughout my 4 years here at Ames Community College, I've come to learn to appreciate what it is to be part of a growing community. And I hope that this coming spring, when I graduate with my Associate of Science, that I can carry all of my experiences with me to the Colorado School of Mines and begin impacting my world both there and beyond. So once again, I would just like to say thank you for inviting me to be here to share my Ames story.
Thank you for taking a moment and standing up there and enjoying the applause. Abby, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's very important for us, certainly as employees of Ames and the Board of Trustees, to hear our student stories and our alumni stories, to keep it foremost in our mind, because this is why we do what we do. So the board has graciously agreed that at the beginning of their agenda at every month, we hear a student or an alumni so that they also have that foremost in their mind as we move forward. So Abby, thank you so very much. We can't wait to see you walk across that stage in May. Would Dr. Rothmer, Executive Vice President and Chief Academic Officer, please approach? Thank you. And Russ is going to report out on course lab fees, report for 2020, 2021, and some strategic plan updates. This is our mid-year update, so the vice presidents and cabinet members who will approach will give you a couple of mid-year progress reports on strategic planning items that they presented to you in August.
Thank you, Dr. Bornstein, Chair Peterson, members of the board. Thank you for this opportunity to provide the updates. The first thing that Dr. Bornstein mentioned that's in December that we share with you is in your packets you have a document that lists our course and lab fees, and this, again, information is shared with you yearly. And what I wanted to do is just give you a very, very high-level overview that the vast majority of the increases that you note in that document were due to third-party vendors increasing their testing fees, and that most of these testing or assessment services are typically industry-related competency testing. And I know you've had that document, and if you have any questions regarding anything that's on those, I do have the backup information should you have any questions.
Good to go.
Thank you, sir. The next item I want to share with you, as Dr. Bornstein mentioned, is the mid-year strategic plan update of what myself and my teams are responsible for. And before I get into the specific line items, what I wanted to share with you is kind of a bigger picture, because if you recall from our strategic plan, there's a column on there that talks about benchmarks and measurements. One of the things that our institutional research team is working on, along with all of the individuals that are responsible for these 62 tactics that are part of the strategic plan, is creating a dashboard so that we can actually see the impact or the so what that we're having with these tactics. Others, as Dr. Bornstein mentioned before when we were talking about the strategic plan, just noting that yes, we completed that tactic, but the real important piece is then realizing what did that actually accomplish, and are we investing our resources in the right way. So in mid-spring, we'll be presenting that information to our teams as well as the cabinet, and then be presenting to you afterwards what we have in terms of that dashboard. So certainly more to come with that, and that's also a preface for you to, when I'm sharing a lot of this, these updates, I will have some numbers for you, but not a lot of the specific benchmarks and percent increases or decreases or the impact that we're having through these tactics. So that's just kind of a high-level overview for all of our strategic plan items. And I just wanted to thank the IR team as well as everybody who's responsible for the different items and having those conversations about setting those baselines and truly measuring our impact. So jumping right in, line 4, and these are all, the first ones I'm going to cover are under the goal of student access, success, retention, completion, and support enrollment in diverse populations. The first one I want to note for you is line 4, expand CTE partners and opportunities. And again, what I wanted to share is that we've had 15.6% increase in concurrent enrollment of high school students served through CTE, and that's from looking at a fall-to-fall moving average. Then we've also had an 18.3% increase in CTE credentials, again using that 3-year moving average. So we're continuing not only to add more, but then tracking the students for those, to see how they're doing and making sure they're attaining the certificates as well. For line 6, expand alternative course delivery, have some additional numbers to share. And this is for summer of 2019. We had while this might initially sound negative, we've had a 10.25% decrease in the number of courses offered. However, where we've become more effective and efficient, we've had a 6.3% increase in enrollment and a 16.7% increase in fill rates, which means we're doing a better job of getting students into the classes that they need. So while we've offered fewer courses, we've had more students in those courses and then filling the classes or the spaces that we have. So we'll continue to monitor that, because I know the other important thing is to make sure that we maintain our accessibility, and sometimes that is additional courses. So it's not just all about offering one course and making sure it's filled to the max before we offer the next. It's really looking at what that student need is. For fall of 2019, we've had a 4.5% increase in the number of courses offered, just over a 10% increase in enrollments, as well as a 24% increase in fill rate. So again, the deans and schedulers and advisors and students are really working to make sure students are getting into the classes that they need. One other quick update for spring of 2019. Again, we've had a decrease in the number of courses offered, however, an increase in enrollments, and then an 18.3% increase in the fill rates of the courses that we have. So we'll continue to monitor the courses as we look at maximizing what we have, and that we have that availability that students need to continue in their programs of study. So for line 8 was an increase the degree attainment by adult learners, and our focus really on this one, and you've heard us talk about this a little bit, is prior learning assessment. And what we started with that, while we don't have any specific numbers right now to share with you because we're just checking our data to make sure it's reliable, we've really focused on the policy as well as the process, because we want to make sure that we have a seamless process available for our adult learners, that we can recognize any of their previous experiences that we may be able to give them college credit for, to kind of fast track them through their specific interest or program of study. So we're getting that set up to be able to really have an impact on this particular population. And before I jump into the second goal, I want to just pause and see if there were any questions about those specific 3 items.
Questions, members?
All right, so for the second item was internal talent development, technology, data analysis, and modernizing college policies, procedures, and processes. And the first item I want to talk to you about is line 33. And this was to ensure credit to clock hour compliance. And I know over the past year I've come to the board and shared with you a couple of times regarding the work that our teams have done regarding the monitoring reports from the Higher Learning Commission. And this is information that I've shared with you before, but I think it bears repeating, because not only was it a significant lift for the college to make sure we were doing these things, but it was amazing work, and it took a lot of time, and I want to make sure everyone is commended for that work. And that is to let you know that we've submitted that report, and that the Higher Learning Commission came back and said, you're all good with your credit clock hour compliance. We have a systemic process that we have implemented and are using to make sure that we maintain that piece. And the little add I want to have to that, it's in the CEO President's Goals on your sheet. And while it's not a specific line item in the strategic plan, there is a note on there about being prepared for the institutional assurance report that we must do for the Higher Learning Commission. While it's not due until June of 2022, I want you to know that we already have a steering committee established, and we are putting together all the different pieces for that, so we will be more than prepared to continue the accreditation for the college. So just wanted to commend not only Brianne, but that steering committee, as well as the institution and everybody who takes part in that. So it's not a last-minute scramble that everybody's working on. So we are absolutely on track for that, being prepared for that assurance argument. Line 45 is to develop evaluation and training for concurrent enrollment faculty. This is another one of those pieces that I don't want you to think we just pick the items to brag upon. This is one of the items listed on the President's and CEO goals, is that over this past year, we had nearly 100% of our concurrent enrollment faculty evaluated. That means observations, getting feedback, just to ensure that everything that we're doing in our high schools and here in terms of our concurrent enrollment is at that same high quality that we have on our campus. So making sure that we provide those services and resources to those faculty who are teaching in our high schools Ames credit courses. So that has happened and has been significant work that our department chairs, faculty, and our high school programs team have done. Another piece of that is 90% of those concurrent enrollment faculty attended orientation to get ready for their courses. So again, setting them up for success and ensuring that they have the students are receiving the same materials and learning outcomes that our students here as well. The third goal that I wanted to give you a quick update on was the academic assessment program development, college and community partnership, and work-based learning opportunities. So that's goal 3 of the strategic plan. And the part I wanted to share with you is line 55, to increase non-credit offerings. So Rob is the dean of that area, and his continuing ed workforce development team have been doing a lot of work on how we expand our continuing education opportunities across northern Colorado at each one of our satellite campuses. In particular, there's been a lot of work done around and with the Loveland teams, specifically looking at a different variety of continuing ed, including holistic alternative health and wellness classes that we started running this fall and will continue in the spring, and we'll look at additional pieces. And I know my partner Timothy will share a little bit, perhaps more about some of those aspects. The other key focus, if you remember, I keep bringing you back to when you heard about the environmental scan that was done in northern Colorado. Another significant population that we serve is our plus 50 population. And that's going to be another focus of continuing ed that we look for in terms of finding and offering additional learning opportunities for that group. So that's my update on the strategic plan. And I do have one other thing I wanted to, as of a quick highlight. I know in your packets we do a Executive Vice President Academic Affairs update from the month, and there's 4 pages of great stories in there for, and some pictures of some things that have happened. But one of the things I wanted to highlight, and I think it might be in mine as well as the faculty associations, and I know it's sometimes hard to brag upon yourself, so I actually took this as an opportunity to share something that our faculty have done. And as you know, we have outstanding faculty that are experts in their disciplines, and they oftentimes like to share that expertise with the community. And an example of that, we've had professors of music, Dr. Rick Busen, Brooke Elsie, along with instructors of music, Stephanie Baker, Darlene Mueller, Michael Karp, Ivana Munkin, Sarah Hart, Thomas Wielander, and Professor of Audio Engineering, Dave Farrell, gave a faculty recital that was free and open to the public. Heard it was standing room only, and it was quite amazing. So unfortunately, I was traveling during that time and couldn't come, but I wanted to make sure that they were recognized here, and just to thank Brooke and that team for putting on that great event for not only Ames, but for the community. And those are all the items that I have for you this afternoon, Chair Peterson.
Okay,
Dr.
thank you.
Bornstein.
Questions, Carol?
Yeah, I have a question on your written report, where you're listing the top 10 schools with Ames concurrent enrollment students. Early College Academy is listed with 85% of their students as concurrent. Why isn't it 100%?
Jeff, do you have? Oh, that's Fort Collins? Wait, let's just make sure we're talking about the same thing.
What page are you on, Carol? That's a good question. Page 45.
And which graph
the
are you
book.
looking at? First, top, middle,
No,
or
the
bottom?
bottom one.
Bottom one.
The bottom one is kind of slanted with the orange. The second line
Oh, Early College Academy.
is Early
it
College
says-
Academy. First is Early College Fort Collins, and then
Right.
Early College Academy, which lists 287 students, which answers a question about enrollment, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about it being more like 500. That's a big change, a big difference. And 244 of those 287 are Ames concurrent students. And my question would be, why aren't all of them
at the same time.
concurrent?
So, Ray, do you know, is that because they're not all in Ames courses right when it's taken, or?
decelerated where they're enrolled in an entire class from fall through spring. Oftentimes that course only reflects on their fall enrollment, so they don't show up in the spring enrollment. That's where I'm assuming the number is happening, although they aren't AIM students at that time.
Right. So, and we'll
Okay.
verify that to ensure
Okay.
that that's the case.
All right, thank you.
Yep, good question.
Anything further? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Chuck Jensen would like to come up, give us a quick budget update, some focus points on the Administrative Services Strategic Plan, and then invite Brad Yoder to come up and give a couple points on the IT Strategic Plan mid-year review.
Thank you, President Bornstein, Chair Peterson, members of the board. I'll start off first. You have before you the budget report as of October 31st, 2019. I'll go over that pretty briefly. There's not a lot of updates from our last meeting. Tuition continues to remain at 6% above last year. And of course, I won't have any spring numbers until our February meeting, of course. And so we'll update you in February as to what our spring tuition is. So at this point for fall, we are 6% up. Nothing else really remarkable to talk about. Everything's pretty consistent in our revenue. We expect all of our general property taxes and state income or state revenue, so there's no issues with those revenue streams. And then in our salaries and operating expenses, I don't have anything really to highlight to you other than the ongoing differences in our financial aid due to the fact that we now automatically award financial aid to students or our scholarship, our AIM scholarships. Prior to this semester, they actually had to apply for those. So a pretty unremarkable budget report, which is a good thing, and continues to be very strong and on track. I'll stand for any questions on the budget.
Questions, members? Okay,
And then I'll just briefly touch on some of our strategic plan items along with some updates from the division in our facilities area. As we know, we're headlong into our planning process for both the Welcome Center and the Student Commons, and that is progressing quickly. Mike and his team are doing an excellent job of moving that process forward with involvement from campus and the college in general. So that's going really well. In our Fort Lupton campus, the CDO lot is progressing, and we anticipate occupying that in late January.
Mike is here.
And we're also continuing to finalize the data connections to the big monument sign down there. And I'll talk a little briefly.
It's the biggest monument sign,
Yeah, the
please.
biggest, yeah,
The
that's-
biggest. Thank you.
I think CDOT actually called Mike and said, you got to turn it down. We're seeing it from I-25. I don't know, something about that. Or Highway 85 or something.
Planes are starting to land on 52.
And no, Mike working with the city of Fort Lupton too. You know, we're actually going to run city content on there too, so we'll be able to announce community events too on that sign. So that was kind of a deal Mike cut with them to put the sign up there, saying we'll give them some airtime on that sign to advertise things that are happening in the community down there for Fort Lupton. One thing that I'll kind of tie a connection between both our strategic plan items. I like to say we, from a facility standpoint, we don't have a lot of items, but they're big items. Primarily, of course, the facilities plan that the board approved. And so again, that ties into the Welcome Center and the Student Commons as part of that project right now. Once those projects are well on their way, we'll begin the planning for the Windsor projects. Again, at the Windsor campus, we have both an academic building and the simulated city. And so that'll be the next phase, but we want to get the dirt turning on the Greeley projects first, and then we'll start the planning phase for the Windsor projects. Also, along with our strategic plan, we're just in the final phases of doing our facilities condition inventory of all of our campuses. And so and to just highlight that a little bit, actually we're actually preparing a work session for the February board meeting where we'll have a work session on facilities and talking about where we've been, what we're doing, what our facilities condition inventory is telling us, starting to help us lay out a long-term plan for continued maintenance and renovations of our facilities. And as I've spoken many times, you know, this college has maintained an excellent commitment to our facilities. I mean, every year in our budget process, we continue to commit a very adequate portion of our revenue to maintain our buildings. And as we all know, as we can just walk around the buildings in the campus, you can see the status of our facilities. But at the February board meeting, we'll have a work session for you to go into a little more detail on what we've accomplished both in facilities and some of our IT infrastructure, and then where we're headed with our facilities plan, and then highlight what we're learning from our facilities condition inventory work. And so that really ties the two things that we're really been focusing on in our strategic plan for this year is the facilities plan and then the continued maintenance and upkeep of our facilities, which I continue to be very proud for what we've continued to do and have done. And I credit the board for the last decade, actually, for the commitment that's been made to maintaining our facilities. And so let me just check my notes here real quick. We also, along with our other projects, we are embarking upon updating signage on campus. And so the first campus that we're working on will be the Fort Lupton campus. You'll start to see new signage on the buildings and actually a rooftop logo too. So airplanes coming out of DIA, you can see that.
Oh, please, it's Fort Lupton International. We do have
Yes.
that airport east of town. So. No, really. Platte Valley Air Park, and our former mayor calls it Fort Lupton International, so they'll see it.
Maybe we'll have to run some blue lights to
Yes, I think so.
make a section of that. So again, it's been a
Big
very
blue
strong
lights.
year in our facilities. And without any further ado, I'll answer any questions or turn the mic over to Brad to let him update some of the great things that have been happening in our IT area. So I stand for any questions.
Go ahead,
Mark. Go ahead.
No, you can go first. Sure. Okay. Just on the facilities update, I know we spend about $560 a square foot maintaining and making minor improvements. That doesn't count the capital stuff that needs to be done from time to time. Is that correct?
That's operating maintenance, yeah.
Yeah, just operating maintenance. Is that janitorial, all the
Yeah,
above?
it's everything, yeah.
Okay.
Utilities, janitorial.
Did we get heated floors in the event center?
I was bringing that item back to you next meeting. No, maybe not.
Ouch.
No, no heated floors, no. Heated driveways, I think.
Heated driveways and
Yeah, there's some
concrete, right,
driveway,
Mike?
Yeah, we do some things like that for safety. Where we
He's
put-
got his thumb up. He's ready. Okay, I'm good. Lyle?
Yeah, there was just a couple of us commenting earlier, and this is a testament to the maintenance about this building. Some of us were trying to figure out when it was built. Some of us think maybe in the mid-'70s, I don't know. But it's been a long time ago. And I think this building, for the shape it's in, is really a good testament to the maintenance that our facilities actually get and to how well they're maintained, how well they hold up and still service.
Absolutely, thank you.
Just, do you have any idea when it was built? Can you answer that?
When was
Oh, it is.
1975,
There you go.
Mike says.
Okay,
You're
Ann's going to go
that's
look at the plaque. I know Rich Laughlin was the president at the time,
Yeah.
because he and I worked together later. And this was the first building that we built on this campus.
Wow.
The typewriter factory, now known as
Cornerstone.
Cornerstone, was here.
Yeah, I tell.
That's right, yeah. Very good. Thank you. Brad?
Thanks, Chuck.
Okay, here's the word.
The original plaque, or the plaque for the original build, does not have a date on it, so we'll check on that for you. The remodel was done in '08.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. If Mike says that it's true, right?
1975, that's good.
Is that what he said, 75?
That's what he said.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay, Brad, you're on.
Okay, well, thank you. In the IT world, the last time we talked at back in August or thereabouts, there were three tactics or three lines that we talked about. One of them was line 47, and I'll report on those two. There are two of those 5 tasks or activities that are still being worked on, so they're in progress. The two that are being worked on are enhancing our phone system and trying to find a good solution for the cell phone coverage in Windsor. Hi, Mary. It's not forgotten. So those two are in progress, and we're making progress on them. The next line, number 52, that is listed, I believe, on your list, is around security, and we have completed another one of the 8 items or 6 items there, or 8 items. We've implemented host firewalls on desktops and laptops. What that means is you've got to have security at a lot of different places. You've got to have them on those devices as well. And so we've implemented that across the college on all of our devices. The other 2 items, the encryption, number 3, the encryption on devices, as well as expanding multi-factor authentication. Those are being worked on, and they're coming along nicely. So we're happy with the progress that's being made there, and emphasize every time that we talk that security is front and center of everything we do in IT, protecting colleges' resources. And then lastly, the ERP project, that would be line 48. We are about 6 months into the project. It's about a 3-year project at least, but the first phase of that is HCM, HR, finance, and payroll. That's being worked on now, so that is about halfway through that implementation of that project, that part of the project. I need to give a shout out to HR, finance, anybody who's been involved in that project. They are doing amazing work, working really hard, and kudos to them for all the work that they're doing. But the project is on track. Everybody, when we talk with our implementation partner, when we talk with other people involved, we're on track. All the lights are green, so we're happy to report that, and we're excited. I think Dee is also kind of saying that she's excited about the things that are about to come. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions, members? Okay, thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Brad. Just to follow up to what Brad was saying about the amount of work that folks are involved in with our ERP is not only are they doing their regular responsibilities, but they're also, in addition, establishing, creating, and identifying new processes, new identifications, new definitions. So really, when we say thank you, we really mean thank you so very much for all the effort and hours and commitment to this project and moving the college forward in its platform. So just to give you context about what that really looks like. So, Mr. Ullman, Timothy Ullman, Vice President for Community and College Relations, will also give some strategic plan mid-year progress reports, as well as the beginning parts of a communication plan for the Welcome Center and the Student Commons.
Yes, I think we'll start with that. I'm going to ask Zach McFarland to come up here and share all the goodness that's to come.
Share the goodness.
Yep.
Chairman Peterson, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. I think when I first got here, I started hearing about Ames to UNC pretty quick, and then the Welcome Center Student Commons project was pretty quickly thereafter. And I think one thing that resonated with me quite a bit when we see a student like Abby come and talk is that it's this full circle plan, right? Do we have a clicker? Did I see that? Oh, there we go. That they're going to get to start there, and then they're going to go through their journey, and they're going to get to end there. And I think the fun thing about being in a marketing and communications role, right, is that I'm going to have the opportunity with the team that we have in place to be able to communicate that out to the variety of publics that we serve. And that's what we're really trying to do when we think about a marketing and or communications plan, is really start to think about who needs to hear about this information, how are we going to communicate that. So really quickly before we get into who we're going to communicate it to, really just wanted to work through the process and show you how we process this. And that's that we really process it in 3 ways: the audiences that we have to talk to, the channel that we're going to communicate to those audiences in, and then the message and the tone that we're going to communicate to them. And that really works together to create a good communications plan, right? If I have the right audience, they're going to be interested in the message that I'm going to communicate to them. But I have to communicate to them in the right channel. if, let's say, I had an audience of 65, people who are 65 years old and older in northern Colorado, I'm not going to try to sync up with them on Snapchat, right? That's not going to resonate with them. They're not going to hear that message, and we're going to fail right from the start. Chat, snap, whatever we want to call it, right? And then we have to kind of go with the message from there. Once we designate the right audience, the right channel, we start to work through the message and say, what do they want to hear, and how are we going to communicate that message to them? So what we've worked through is we're at the high level right now in this communications plan. We've designated 3 of our primary audiences right now, and those are the general public in our service area, the media, and then our internal audience of students, faculty, and staff. So really the first comms plan that we're creating is going to be designated to those 3 audiences. Does that make sense? And I'm going to just kind of go through the gist of each of these real quick. When we think about the general audience, if we go to the channels, right, we want to connect with our service area, the general public. The channels we've chosen to highlight are website, social media, signage. This is an example of the signage right there. That would be, out front of the construction site. You're going to have signage in the barrier that shows some imagery to kind of generate some excitement for the public as they walk by and see what's going on. Monuments, face-to-face, and I would also add in print media here as well, right? We'll be doing some print media to communicate to them. Really, when we're talking about the message and the tone, we want this to be informational. A lot of people out there don't know what's happening, so we want to inform them of what's happening, what the Welcome Center is, the Student Commons Project is, and the impact that has on them. And we want to really start highlighting the value that Ames provides to the community, to this audience. When you think about Abby, we also want to start highlighting the value that this project has to the students as well, since we're students first here, right? We want to say, hey, here's what the students receive out of this. Does that make sense? Next would be media, right? For the media, it's website, social, press releases, face-to-face. Really, we started this process back in, I would say, about May, when we engaged the Tribune in a strategy to say, hey, we have a lot of infrastructural changes happening here. Let's create a series of feature stories where we can kind of highlight all of the happenings at Ames and all of the buildings. Mike, Timothy, and myself met with them, and that kind of yielded right there that front page Greeley Tribune article in June, right? That was the beginning of a media strategy where we can really start to go through everything that Ames has going on. We will continue that. Unfortunately, we lost the reporter that we were working with, Emily, and so we're kind of re-engaging them and figuring out who to talk to so we can kind of pick up that story flow and have a regular series of feature stories, about all of our infrastructural changes. And really, when we talk about the media is in this, it's been a while now, but they're in a little bit of an upheaval. It's a continuous upheaval, and they have limited resources, limited staff. The Tribune's going through a lot of changes. And what they have to kind of combat that is really developed 5 pillars of content. These are their areas of emphasis, and that's public money, growth and development, breaking news, public safety, and events. That's the areas of emphasis that the Tribune and other papers in our service area want to focus on. So as we think about our message and our tone and how we want to communicate with them, we have to consider the areas that they are interested in, and those are the types of stories that we will pitch to them, which gives us the greatest chance of success. Again, emphasis, value to the community, right? That's what we're going to focus on, is the value to our community that Ames provides, specific to the Welcome Center and the infrastructure projects, and then the student value as well. Third audience, internal students, faculty, and staff. We have resources there daily, weekly, email, and flyers. Again, it's informational. People here, I know myself included, right? What are we concerned about? The impact it has to me. If we shut a road down, how am I going to get to work? How am I going to get, what's my flow of traffic going to be? And that's what we're going to address. And we want to address that as quickly and efficiently as possible. So we're going to use primarily those 4 channels to do that in. Really the time frame, that's the end of the presentation, but the time frame that we have for this, again, we started some aspects of this in planning and coordination back in the summer when we were talking about the paper. But really, as we finalize the details of when this project starts is when the vast majority of our tactics and our comms plan is going to kick off. It's a living document. We will continue to add to it. We'll add audiences as needed, strategies, tactics, tones, channels, all of that will continue to grow over time. So that's what I have. I'm open for questions.
All right, questions, members? Good outline.
I think in our discussion last month, in our work session, the board wanted to make sure that it was clear in all of our communications that students are not paying anything toward these construction projects. So I would just reiterate that.
Yeah.
That needs to be in our message.
Yeah, duly noted. We'll make sure that happens.
You know, as far as like, talking about our lack of tuition increases and things like that, so they understand that everything's bought and paid for. And the other thing is all the good things that we're doing. Some of our statistical demographics that we can share with the community about our concurrent enrollment and how we're supporting a variety of programs and career tech programs, things like that, as well as the aims to UNC and all of those things. I think that will help kind of, they'll get excited,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is what we're trying to do, is get everybody excited about it. Which
Well,
is,
this provides a great opportunity to bake
yeah,
in a lot of other
believe me,
students.
it's going to have a lot of attention over the next 12, 15 months, and we want to make sure we're on the right side of the fence line on the
Absolutely.
on the op-eds.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't, probably this doesn't have to be said, but I think one of the really neat things about a community like this are the weekly papers, I used to be an old adage that if you sent the World Encyclopedia to them, they'd print it.
Yeah.
And that's really what they do. I mean, if you send it to them, by God, they'll print it, and it reaches quite an audience, I believe, anyway, so.
Yeah. And that they're a core part of the strategy.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So. Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Zach.
I'm very fortunate. I've got a really great team.
Yeah.
And Zach and his team just did a great job pulling all that together. Look forward to the plan as it starts to roll out. One of the things, Trustee Hopkins, as you were talking about there, is make sure we tie in these other pieces. That was when we talked with the Tribune back in early summer. It was like, okay, well, yes, we're talking about infrastructure and buildings and things like this, but the other part is what's connected to it. We've got academics connected to it. We have student support programs connected to it. All these different types of things that are connected to it. So it allows us to tell the story of Ames in multiple ways, which is awesome. So, the goal here, and, Zach is honcho in that, is like we want to be out front, in the community for a very long time. So.
And, we want to all be doing the same messaging, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a concert there.
Absolutely.
It's all playing well.
Yeah. So thank you for your insights with that, and definitely do that. Just to bring you up to date on just some of our strategic updates, a couple of things. Again, like I said, I've just got a great team here. I want to start out with line 12, which is expand partnerships with community, school district agencies, programs that serve underrepresented populations, et cetera, et cetera. This is Jody and her team with recruiting and admissions. One of the things that we did this year, and they put together a plan over the summer and implemented it immediately, which was outstanding, and that is they pushed just about all of the recruiters out of the Greeley campus and out to the satellite campuses. And it's so that they can focus and be a support in those areas there, but each one of the recruiters is also given some specific areas. Some of them, we have two. We hired an additional recruiter for the Latinx population. So, and I'll speak to more about that in just a moment, because that has just been phenomenal and allowed us to really expand that outreach. We also have assigned for veteran outreach, for non-traditionals, and all this other. So there's a lot of different things other than, just focusing on just the high schools. But now we're looking at, we've got this much from our high school, but we have this much of non-traditionals that are in our community, and how do we go after them? And then, so just some wonderful things with that. So that initiative is pushing forward. I asked Jody to use last year as a baseline. It's like, how many did we actually touch as far as recruiting is concerned? How many actually made it through the admissions process? And then, the connecting piece to Dr. Weisskaver's crowd is, of those who are admitted, how many actually enrolled? So that's some of the stuff that we'll have some statistics like for that for you, hopefully this time next year. And hopefully we'll have some very positive things. So, again, hats off to Jody and her team for doing that.
Excuse me, Timothy?
Yes.
Those satellite campuses or operations, are those space, and I might ask this the other month just to refresh me.
Sure.
Is the high schools giving us space to kind of operate from, or are those?
Let's see, let me just ask them. At Fort Lupton and Windsor,
Do they give us space at their local high schools to kind of operate from, or is there venues that we go through?
Operate from the campus.
This campus?
No, that campus, Fort Lupton campus.
Fort Lupton campus, okay.
High school campuses, but some on our campus as well, due to the facilities and the resources that we have available there.
Good, good. And then Loveland?
The space is on our campus, and then the recruiters are visiting the high schools regularly and have a designated space there.
Good. They're doing good
Great.
stuff.
No,
Yeah.
super. Thank you.
It is good. Line item 15 is like, how are we reaching out to the Latinx community, ensuring that their recruitment, their enrollment, sustainment and graduation. Well, our part is the recruitment and admissions piece. And again, this is one of the ones I thought was just fantastic. We hired an additional recruiter last spring, Jessica, to come out and help Lizette. Now, Lizette has just been doing a phenomenal job. They're both bilingual, but Lizette was literally a one-woman show, and she was hitting all of Weld County and trying to do the very best that she could with the limited time that she had. And so I spoke with Lizette, and I said, tell me, how has this worked out for you to be able to have a second person to do this? She says, you have no idea. She says, before I was able to just spend a little bit of time in Fort Lupton, a little bit of time in those outlying communities, and a little bit of time here in Greeley, but not enough time to really fully develop that. And now bringing on another person who's, Jessica, who's dedicated to do that, really penetrating the Latin community and being able to focus there. So again, we'll have some more numbers as we watch and see this develop as well. So excellent job there, and just very proactive. That's one of the things, you want to see activity. Come to my office, there's people hustling and going. You'll never see Jody's folks there. They're always out and about, so which is fantastic. And that's what we hired them to do, get out there. Next one here, looking at the implementing technology, and that's another one that's falling into Zach's area there. We've been listening to our customers, both our students, faculty, staff, and external users about our website, and resoundingly, everybody says, we need you to redo that. And so they're working on a redesign for that, and hope to get all that started in January, and looking forward to that. It's not a small lift, but it's going to be a significant one, and will be a tremendous impact on the overall campus here as well, which is outstanding. Let's see me to go down here. Oh, increase non-credit offerings. This one, again, looking at the marketing. You heard Dr. Rothenberg kind of talk about those. One of the things that CCR has done is help to advertise that through the marketing campaigns. And so if you take the Greeley paper, or you got the Loveland paper, whatever, you'll notice on the last Sunday of each month there's an insert in there. And on the front of the insert from Ames talks about what's going on at the college. If you flip it over, it's got what is continuing education and all those other good types of things for the community. So really getting the word out there of what's available. So we're looking forward to that. Also, kind of tagging on to that as we looked into enhancing or understanding the satellite campuses and kind of re-envisioning some of the things that happen there. You heard Dr. Rothenberg talk a little bit about Loveland. And Loveland has been very proactive in saying, hey, what can we do here, listening to the community, what do we need to do? And one of them is looking at, workforce development, but also, over 50, offerings for people, lifelong learning, those types of things. So it's, looking at that, saying, okay, let's go ahead and do that. And they've already reached out and starting to fulfill a lot of those ideals, if you will, with courses. Let's see. Oh, and then the last one I want to touch about is line 60, and this is about relationships within our service area. And first of all, I want to say thank you to all of you who really help with that. It's part of my job that I go out there and do all these different events and different things that happen, but it's gratifying to see you out there. For instance, like when we had the Greeley Chamber after hours, and saw a number of you there, outstanding. And it was great because the one thing I absolutely love to see is that you're not huddled together, but that you're out actually talking to other people. So thank you for that. Makes a huge impact and just really says a lot. The other part is our cabinet members really reach out in the community quite a bit as well. I mean, I know our faculty are out there constantly. We have a lot of great staff. We've heard them talk about their involvements in the community. The cabinet just last month did a significant event. We did Habitat for Humanity. We spent a day, went out in the community, and shoveled, raked, swung hammers. Let's see, who did it? Did you do the saw? Okay, okay, yeah. So yeah, on the saws and the whole thing. Yeah.
It's probably a good thing.
Quartermaster.
Yeah, Chuck is excellent at smoothing out the ground. So. Yeah. But all that to say, it's not just like one person or one office who does this. This is a collective effort that goes about. So my thanks to all of you for making my job a lot easier in that realm, because it's representing Ames to the community, and because they support us, and we just get an opportunity to let them know, here's how we're supporting you. So that concludes my report. Any questions?
Questions, members? Or
I think we got them all in. Thank you.
I'd like to just comment, it's sort of on the subject, but every week, I think it is, the Tribune publishes the student of the week or month or whatever it is. And the last time, she's a senior at Union Colony and Ames Community College.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and I think she said she'd have her associate's degree when she graduates from both institutions, I guess, is what it's amounted to.
Oh, yeah,
So,
which is
I
fantastic.
just think things like that ought to be where everybody could see it.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. I liked Shannon McCaslin, where did you go? You made a comment, the remarkables, and I wrote that down. And it's kind of like, we should have just a walls, here are the remarkables. Yeah, So just cool stuff with things like that. Well, thank you. I'll be quiet.
Okay. Thank you, Timothy.
Thank you, Timothy. We would like to invite Dee Schultz, Executive Director of Human Resources. She's going to give us a couple of updates on strategic plan. What's that?
Seventh inning stretch.
That would be up to your chair. Would you like us to take a break, or what do you want?
Let's do it right after D. Okay, can you handle that, Mark?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm
You're on, Dee.
gonna lower this for Sarah.
Whoa! I know how that feels.
HR, no less. Whoa.
Thank you for having me here today. Last month, I provided you with my annual report. And in that annual report, I provided some strategic tactics updates. So I'm not going to repeat those now, but just see if you have any questions for me. Happy to answer any further questions. And then finally, Brad gave a shout out to HR and Finance for the ERP implementation. I want to give a shout out to IT for all of their support over the last few months and keeping us on track and giving us the resources that we have needed in order to continue our day-to-day operations, but also continue to be successful in this implementation. So,
Okay.
unless you have any questions.
Questions, members?
No, thanks, Dee. Appreciate what you do.
Thank
You know, that heated concrete will save our comp claims.
It would. I definitely would
think about
agree
that.
with that. Yes, it definitely would help us on our comp claims. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Did you want to take a break?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's take a 5-minute stretch.
Yeah.
How's that sound? Well, I guess the meeting didn't really get adjourned or anything, so we'll just continue on. And Dr. B, I think you were in the middle of your report.
Yes.
Or somewhere around the middle.
Dr. Sarah Weisgaber, Vice President for Student Engagement, Inclusion, and Success, will like to give us some updates on their strategic plan initiatives mid-year progress report.
Mid-year progress report, Board of Trustees, Chair Peterson, Dr. Bornstein. I am so excited to be here with you today and share with you some exciting information. I'm also really excited that we just took a break, so everybody's back, refreshed, ready to go. As I was listening to my colleagues and different folks speak today, and thinking about this time of year, I just wanted to take a very quick moment to express some gratitude. The gratitude that we have with the cabinet team and as an institution working together and really trying to eliminate silos between the work that we do, some of us willing to lift more while others lift less, and then change as it happens naturally. I express gratitude to the board for your continued support, for your strong investment in our students, and for your presence of mind and your presence of heart. Lastly, I know others have expressed gratitude toward Chair Ruckel, but I want to, at the end, but I would like to begin with that, and I would just like to say your support of our students has been absolutely incredible. Our students and our club members know that they can always count on you to be there. That has touched them in such an important way because your presence has let them know that they matter and that they're important. So thank you for your service to Ames. Thank you for your support to our students and our faculty and our staff.
Thank you.
It is finals week. We are also expressing a lot of gratitude for that. Faculty in the room, woohoo, finals week. We're right about there. I will share that from an operational standpoint, this is a point in time where we start to see our care cases increase. We are busy in the Dean of Students office trying to support students who are feeling overly stressed, who are having financial difficulty, who are trying to navigate a myriad of challenges that are presented to them at this time of year. We also have students who are busy trying to re-enroll. So our academic advisors, our enrollment team, I know Jody's team, we are all very busy trying to get students enrolled and ready for spring semester. Operationally, we are preparing for our phase of the ERP implementation. We are also in the beginning pieces that are moving quickly with the construction projects. We are ready to start changing about 442 business processes before we get ready for the ERP across academics and student engagement. And of course, we're also working on the strategic plan. So let me give you some updates about what that has looked like recently. Under Objective 1, you'll recognize that the majority of our tactics fall under Objective 1, and that objective is empowering students to succeed. Line 10 was to research and implement a 12 by 12, 12 plus 12 plus 6 initiative. And the value here is we're trying to get students to take 30 credits a year so that they graduate sooner and can move on to their careers sooner. I'm happy to share with you that we do expect, between a partnership in academics and student engagement, to expand curriculum offering this summer. The Arts and Sciences Division has been drafting a summer 2020 schedule of the courses to include summer options as noted on our academic course maps for the Associate of Arts degree as well as the Associate of Science degrees, especially those with designation. We're going to see increasing marketing coming out, really encouraging students to move forward. So we're at about midpoint for this strategic tactic. On line 11 was design and implement guided pathways, and this is truly a partnership, step by step, with academic affairs and the SACE division being led by the Assistant Vice President for SACE, Erin Prestwich, and Dean of Arts and Sciences, Scott Reichel. They formed a Guided Pathways core group and team. And before they wanted to get into this work, they really wanted to make sure this team was all speaking the same language, really prepared to work together. And so they've attended 2 different local conferences this fall and are working currently on a communication plan to share what Guided Pathways will look like to the college-wide community as we move forward into the spring. They'll also be identifying core measures, marketing and terminology pathways, and potential subgroups for some of those longer-term projects. We continue to optimize our class schedule. I believe Dr. Rothermer talked a little bit about that, and this is where some of our tactics start to cross over with each other, where we're really trying to ensure that our class schedule meets when students want to take classes. And so that is very much a part of the guided pathways work. In addition to the pathways work, we want to focus on ensuring that our services are available to all students, regardless of what campuses they're on, which primarily we're focusing on this online campus, which is a growing population at Ames. And so we're working to move all of our core services online. So to highlight a few of those, the progress that we've made, we've started live streaming student programs out of the SAIL office, which is really exciting, especially for students on the Fort Lupton, Windsor, Loveland campuses, if they can't be here in Greeley, and likewise for the students in Greeley who can't be on the other campuses. We've also started a veteran engagement and resource D2L shell, where all veterans will be able to sign up for this class and be able to receive notices and updates about what's happening, so they won't have to be physically on campus in order to make that happen. We're offering online tutoring in TRIO, and our Title IX training is moving to for staff and faculty to fully online as well. Under line 14, as you all know and as you all have voiced, a very strong passion toward equity and inclusion, specifically on the Ames campuses. So just to update you on where we are with that research project, currently being led by the co-chairs of the Council for Equity and Inclusion, Becca Herman, who I saw earlier, and also Sarah Ramsey. They have just put out an RFP to select a research team to come to campus. As we move into January, we'll be selecting a research team to come into campus and working on communication to ensure that we have full college engagement and support as we work to understand what is truly the culture and the climate on our campus as it relates to equity, diversity, and inclusion. The next one I'd like to update you on, also under Objective 1, line 19, is funding your future tactic. And this has been a really fun project to work on with financial aid in partnership with Administrative Services. Chuck Jensen, I think he's reliving his days as a financial aid director through this project. So we have this funding your future tactic that we're working on. All students will receive a folder that has myriad different types of scholarship opportunities. One of the things that I'd like to share with you is that we're going to be focusing on, from the admission perspective, really looking at what are our Jeff Adcock's not going to like the word I use here. What is the yield rate to our concurrent students who move into becoming Ames students? How can we entice that group of students through scholarships to come on over to Ames? Also, how do we look at our non-traditional student learners and ask them to come to Ames through providing scholarship dollars, these one-time upfront? How can we support the work that Jody Markheim is doing in her recruiting area? As far as retention, we have the Ames Scholar Scholarship, which is $900 per semester for students who have a 3.0 GPA, and that's prorated on credits. So far, we've awarded $1.7 million. We've paid out $765,000 just for fall. This is more than we have ever awarded before for this type of scholarship. So this is a huge opportunity for students and enticement for them to continue engaging and moving forward with their coursework. Finally, we plan on having some completion scholarships. So those students who are really close to finishing, but sometimes life gets in the way, we'd like to set a box of scholarships for them so that we can help them push through to the finish line. There are special population scholarships that we've been working in partnership with Kelly Jackson on through the foundation that I'd like to make you aware of. These are not institutional dollars, they are donor dollars, and that's why they're coming through the foundation, but they serve a really important purpose. Currently, I'd like to highlight a few of them, which is the Monarch Scholarship. This is for students who currently do not file FAFSA, students who perhaps identify as DACA or DACA undocumented. We also recently just established a new Pride Scholarship for students who identify in the LGBTQ community, a one-time scholarship or once-a-year scholarship for them so they can have financial support as they move forward. We also have single-parent scholarships that support. I would like to share with the board as well as the rest of the institution that at one point we did have a veterans scholarship. It was private donor scholarship that was heavily reliant on students, and I would encourage all of us, if that's an area of passion, to work with Kelly Jackson and the foundation to create opportunities specifically for our veterans to support them financially as we move, as they move through their academic career. Line 20. The wellness tactic. This has been a really exciting project. It's been led by Dean McCaslin and her group of folks in the counseling area. They so far have completed what is called the Real College Survey in partnership with the Hope Center for College, Community, and Justice. We should have data regarding basic student needs, including housing, transportation, food, and etc. later on this spring. I know, Trustee Hout, this has been an area that you've asked several questions about, and so as soon as we have those data, I'll be sure to present them to the board. We also are implementing U at Ames, spelled Y-O-U, not the letter U, so apparently we're swinging back on the pendulum. That's not, U is not cool anymore. Now we're spelling the word again, which is a well-being software which ties together campus resources for students. It has original content, it has its own tools and assessments really designed so students can understand where they are in their college experience. We've established 2 campus activities programming board positions that are focused specifically on wellness. So student-to-student work around wellness, which is really exciting. And then we've also been really working to foster a basic needs partnership with Catholic Charities and Weld County Human Services, really trying to leverage the resources such as the Guadalupe Center, SNAP benefits, and those different types of housing authority benefits. So really trying to partner there. So great job to the Dean of Students team. Under Objective 3, enriching Northern Colorado's economic development, we have the very fast, very exciting Ames to UNC program that I'm so excited to share with you some data on. They've just been rocking their socks off back there. We have our Ames to UNC team, and they've been doing an excellent job. So let me share some information with you. So far this year, since the idea inception, which was maybe late spring, we have hired 2 professional staff. We have a program coordinator who is the liaison between Ames and UNC, as well as a senior academic advisor. We have an MOU signed that was on September 5th. We've done a student kickoff event on September 11th. Program participants meet with the program staff at least twice a semester. They go over to UNC. They do different pieces, different opportunities to get more involved in both Ames community and UNC. So here's the numbers. We had a total of 172 applications. That's exciting. Of those 172, I'm very excited to say that 89% of those, which is an incredibly high number, are registered for spring. Wow. Yes. Yes, hats off to this group. Of those 89 students, 67% of those are registered for full-time for spring. So we're very excited there. And 34% of the overall Ames to UNC population is on track to graduate in spring or summer of 20. And they will be transitioning. So this was I think it just goes to show what a group of dedicated people can do and what an incredible motivator Dr. Bornstein, President and CEO, is. I expected more people to laugh. That was really supposed to be a joke.
I laughed.
Yes, thank you. But it was. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. And so I'd like to end with a couple of quotes from students in those programs to help you bring it home about what the Ames to UNC program has meant for students. So Elijah Cook, who is an Ames to UNC participant who's actually living in the UNC residence halls, had this to say. Before the Ames to UNC program, I was commuting to Greeley from Broomfield every day. At times, it was difficult to manage my time in order to be successful academically. After I applied for Ames to UNC, I signed a housing contract to live in UNC's dorms. Because of this program, I'm able to have a 4-year college experience alongside many of my high school friends at a fraction of the cost. I have already seen an improvement in my grades, and I feel like a member of both Ames and UNC campus communities. Another student, Teresa Edwards, who's a non-traditional student who's going to be transferring to UNC, said, because of the Ames to UNC program, I feel much more comfortable with the upcoming transfer. Before, I heard stories about students getting lost on UNC's campus and not receiving the same support they had received at Ames. These stories gave me anxiety about going to UNC. So far, I have visited the campus to pick up my Bear ID. I've ate lunch at the cafeteria with other Ames to UNC students, toured campus, and received guidance from my Ames to UNC advisor about transitioning. Getting familiar with campus and knowing that I have someone looking out for my well-being while I'm at Ames and at UNC has relieved much of the anxiety I've had about transferring, and it means the world to me. So that is a wrap-up of where we are with our midterm tactics that are identified there on the President and CEO's goals to the board. I am happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sarah, you said that there was a vet scholarship. Does that mean there is no longer a vet scholarship?
Correct. So special population scholarships are traditionally handled through the foundation, not through institutional funds. The Veterans Club several years ago had established a veterans scholarship, but as students turn over, that ability to continue paying into that didn't continue. And so in working with Kelly Jackson, one of the things we've learned is that that scholarship, while it still in many ways exists, it's not paying out any dollars because there isn't any funds coming into it. So if you all feel passionate, this is a call to meet with Kelly and give during the season of giving. Other questions?
Direction taken.
Very good.
Get your checkbook out.
I'm glad I could circle the wagons. So. Thank you.
Go ahead. Do you have something, Carol? I thank you for your follow-up information as far as what you on our homeless potential students that we could face. There, it might put a blurb in my Ames about there is a cold weather shelter. Believe it or not, I volunteer a few evenings down there, and there's some clean-cut, young, college-age individuals there that are well showered and shaved, but they spend the night there and get a meal. And there's quite a few cars that are parked out in that parking lot. So it's amazing. Even though we're in a cold climate, there are still people living in a car.
Absolutely.
Whether they're gainfully employed, they just are housing insecure at this point. So it would be nice if we did have a policy, and I know that would be a struggle for our security, but that if there is that, then we can coach them in some other resources, but they might need to know about that. But you're probably familiar with Carolyn at the shelter. Mm-hmm. She's got those emergency funds, so
yes.
Hopefully you can pester her for some money for some of these students.
I have no doubt that Dean McCaslin contacts her regularly.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
That's good. No, thank you for your information.
Thank
and
you.
the update.
Thank you.
And it was good to know that we didn't have students.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
really.
well,
That we know of.
no, we know of, okay.
Right.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last part of the president's report is mine to speak to. Yes, the president. So one of the significant pieces of our strategic plan also is the complete review of all of our policies and procedures that will take place over the 5 years of the strategic plan. And just to let you know, mid-year review, those are continuing to move through our internal process of each department pulling up and reviewing, doing some research, what's current practice, what's best practice, vetting it out throughout the internal community, If it's procedure, it goes through College Council, and if it's policy change, it comes certainly to the board. So those are continuing to move through. We're taking a little bit of a slower time this year, primarily because of the ERP implementation. Something buzzing. I thought it was me. Sorry. So we're seeing we're certainly seeing policies and procedures moving through, but not at the rate that we probably will a year or two from now when that project is finished, and then those kind of things will speed up a bit. So I think we're still on track for that, and folks are committed to that process. So we're good to go in that area. With regard to the meetings of note in your packet, you'll see November's meetings of note. I do want to, we were sort of chuckling about Habitat for Humanity build with Cabinet and mentioning, sort of teasing Chuck a little bit, but I do want to mention that the entire Cabinet made a commitment to take a day all together to support the College Read Evicted, that book Evicted, and do a Habitat for Humanity build in Greeley. And it was a fantastic day, and folks really did work really hard and felt that we contributed really well. So it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to do that. It was great for us together to be able to do that as a team and to be able to contribute toward our community. So we very much appreciate the benefit that Ames has of a certain number of hours annually paid to actually volunteer in our communities. And so that was certainly a side benefit, but that's not why we did it. But it's, and I say that as a plug to the rest of us in the audience to remind us that we actually have this benefit. And it's very unusual for an institution to do that. So please take advantage of that. I'm looking down. One of the pieces that I'd like to mention a little bit more about that is on the list, but I'd like to sort of expend a little bit more time. The Alliance for Innovation and Transformation, the AFIT group, I sit on there. It's a national group. I sit on their executive committee, and we had an executive committee meeting. What I want to say about that is right now we're planning our next 2 years of national learning partners and so forth. However, what's fascinating is that this fall, Cabinet had a retreat, and we read this book called Exponential Technologies by Daryl Stott, who is, he calls himself a recovering community college president, but also a futurist in higher education. And while some of the topics in this book may not be unusual for us to hear, like artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles and so forth, the point that he is making in this book is at what point, what is the tipping point where it becomes exponentially moving forward, the speed of sound, if you will, on how we as a culture and perhaps even globally engage with these sort of things. So we had a facilitator come in. We read this book as a cabinet. We had a facilitator come in and kind of help us think through some of these things. And one of the outcomes from that cabinet conversation was, let's create an institutional think tank of faculty, student engagement, inclusion, success folks, and industry partners, not a large one, that doesn't meet forever, but maybe meets 2 or 3 times, is facilitated, reads this book, and comes up with recommendations for the institution that would roll right into our next strategic planning initiatives for the next. So I'm pleased to say that in January, the end of January will be our first meeting. We actually have industrial partners not only locally, meaning northern Colorado, but also nationally. We have someone from Apple who's going to come in, and someone from an artificial intelligence private business out of Texas who's going to come in and help us push our thinking forward, and really try to come up with how not anything necessarily. I shouldn't even say that. I was going to say nothing new, but it will be new, but it will also be how does this fold into our existing programs and bring us to forward thinking and preparing for what's certainly coming down the pike. and so forth. So anyway, more to come. We'll keep you informed, but that's pretty exciting. The other exciting thing about AFIT is that when I presented this book to our AFIT group, our next year, so 2020 Summer Institute, we have learning partners that are outside of higher education. They're nationally known. They've invited Daryl Stott to come and be one of those learning partners, as well as Microsoft, as well as the Air Force Academy, as well as Howard Community College that just won the Baldrige Award. So who knows, maybe Ames Community College will be offering a breakout session on the think tank conversations that we have just done, if we're invited to do so. So this is pretty exciting, and more to come. It was too much to kind of put in there, but. And then again, just kind of going down the list a little bit, highlights, as you know, I sit on the United Way of Weld County Board of Directors, and we just had our Tillers reception, which also primarily honors the humanitarian of the year that they identify, and Holly and Scott Ehrlich were identified as a humanitarian, honored and identified. So I have the program here with some of their information I'll pass around if you're interested.
Okay.
It was a lovely evening. Mark, I think you were there.
Yes, I was, and you had everybody captivated with your presentation. Seriously, I watched her around the room, and it was just, it was warming. And both Scott and Holly were very complimented well by you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Finally, after being here for 4.5 years, I finally had an opportunity to go on a JBS plant tour, and that was fascinating. I'm glad they start with the clean side and move to the messy side, but actually, Dr. Andy Feinstein, president of UNC, and we did it together, so that was
heartwarming.
It was more enjoyable, I think, that way. We have a picture we sent to Zach, but it's probably not necessarily appropriate for public consumption, standing in front of some carcasses, but anyway, it was fascinating. We got some great connections that have already been passed on to our career center for our students, and so forth. And here we go, heading into winter break and moving into next year. So if you have any questions about those meetings or anything that I can help you with, I will answer that if I can, and then move on to employees.
Questions, members? Okay.
Okay.
Moving right along.
You have the employee report on the next page in your diligent packet, and at this point I would just ask if there are any supervisors in the audience who have new folks that they would like to introduce. Please raise your hand. Hi. Okay, I saw the green team first, so green team, go.
She's a graduate from North Dakota State College of Science, and she graduated from the architecture and drafting program there, and she comes to Ames out of the industry. She's working here as an estimator, so we're very pleased.
I'm happy to introduce Larimer. He's our landscape horticulturist for the grounds department. He graduated with a bachelor's in physical geography and a master's in environmental geosciences from UNC. He's engaged and will be married this July. Which you haven't asked for time off yet. Played football at UNC. Enjoys music, fishing, hiking, lifting, and being with family. Glad to have him on our team. He's been a great addition. Played his first game of ping pong. 21-4, so he's got some work to do. Glad to have him on.
Sarah, I think I saw your hand up.
Yes, so I have two. I'll start from the back. So I would like to introduce Barb. Would you mind standing? I would like to introduce Barb Clem. She comes to us with over 25 years of administrative assistant experience in both large and small businesses. She's worked for Woodward as well as McWhinney and Texas Instruments. She has a very vast background in C-suite support
her oldest daughter is in Ireland, living in Ireland, so we're so excited to hear more about that. Her son lives here in Loveland, so she has one close to home at least. She also enjoys kayaking, hiking, and traveling. I think I am absolutely excited to be working with Barb as the new staff executive for the VP SACE office. So welcome.
to be here. Thank you.
So Nancy Gray, who we all love dearly, is retiring. And she is in the middle of her transition year. She will be with us for about another 4 or 5 months, something like that, until spring, where she's going to be working on special projects and working to transition the new executive director of financial aid. Nancy has done an incredible job, so everyone keep your eye out for various parties, that sort of thing. She said she's not allowing me to throw a party until her very last day, so it might be a while, but there will be a big party for Nancy with a big cake. So just want to thank Nancy for her amazing service to Ames and all you've done. Next up is the rockin' Chris Peterson, who's been working with Nancy for 5 years as the Assistant Director of Financial Aid. Chris has over 25 years experience in financial aid. He graduated from the University of Northern Colorado. After that, he was a financial aid advisor at the University of Denver. Then he came back to the University of Northern Colorado and stayed there for 18 years. Good job, buddy. And he finally saw the light and decided after those 18 years that he wanted to come work at Ames for another 5 years. Chris has 2 kids. He spends most of his time with his kids and going to sporting events, dance events. His daughter is in Palms. And when he's not running around with kids, you'll find him on the golf course. He also likes to hike and definitely texting with me. So about financial aid issues. So welcome, Chris. His position as the Executive Director of Financial Aid will be effective January 1. So when we come back from the break, he will be our new financial aid guru. So congratulations.
Any other supervisors want to introduce new employees? Okay. Chair Peterson, that concludes the President's report.
Okay, thank you, Dr. B. Okay, we'll move on to action items, 8, and remember we moved A down further in the agenda, so we will start with B. And Dr. B.
Well, this is an unusual perspective. Don't be shy. So our agenda item, as you can see on your action item, and for those of you in the audience, is emeritus status for Ann Grotness. And Carrie and I would like to present this together. And we're going to do our best to make you bawl.
And we all know how difficult that is.
Right. We're going to share a little bit of Ann's background and the contributions she has made to the college. Ann has worked at Ames Community College over the past 25 plus years. She graduated from Ames with an associate's degree and went on to earn a bachelor's in business administration and human resource management from Regis University. Both of her daughters also graduated from Ames. Amy earned a bachelor's in accounting, co-owns a landscaping company, and is employed full-time at Anadarko. Julie earned a teaching credential from UNC and teaches 5th grade at Platte Valley Elementary. And FYI, their family commemorated these accomplishments by naming a bench on the campus promenade, and that was through a donation to the foundation. Ann's first job at Ames was in financial aid. She then went to be the assistant to the vice president who coordinated the college's professional development programs at the time. She worked for the vice president for administrative services for 10 years and has been in her current position as executive assistant to the president for the past 15 years. She successfully completed the first Leadership Academy for Staff program at Ames in 1998 and served several years on the board of the Ames Staff Association. Anne was instrumental in starting the Rocky Mountain chapter of the American Association for Women in Community Colleges, which is sponsored by Ames, and served as its president for 3 years. During her chapter presidency, she received a National Model Program Award for AAWCC for the year-long professional development program she developed for Northern Colorado region.
Anne served on the annual conference planning committee for the Professional Association, National Association of Presidential Assistants in Higher Education, NAPAHE. While working in the president's office, Anne planned and coordinated numerous college-wide events such as Convocation, Conversation Day, President's Reception, 2 community college day events, college-wide holiday parties, ribbon cuttings, dedication ceremonies for numerous college buildings, HLC accreditation visits, the college's 40th and 45th anniversary celebrations, and the president's inauguration. She has volunteered for numerous student events over the years, including commencement, fall in, spring out, and the first week of the semester student greeting programs. Served on the steering committee of Ames' first employee orientation onboarding program based on the Disney model, and developed Ames' online virtual reference manual designed specifically as a resource guide for administrative assistants. For a number of years, Anne coordinated Ames' annual United Way campaign and served on their campaign cabinet. 2 of these campaigns set college records for donations, and Ames subsequently received special recognition from United Way. Needless to say, Anne's job performance over the past 25 years has always been stellar, setting the bar for professionalism, grace, and all-around friendship. It's my great pleasure to recommend emeritus status for Anne Grotness and ask that the board heartily consider this recommendation.
Okay. Is there a motion to
Mr.
approve?
Chairman.
Thank you. Trustee
I heartily
Ruppel.
move that we approve emeritus status for Anne Grotness.
Okay, thank you.
And I would heartily second that.
All right. There's been a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries unanimously. I think you made Sarah cry, is what happened.
I was just thinking, well, no tears really, but yeah, okay. Okay.
Yes, we're the 3 criers in the group, so just, be prepared.
Okay. Dr. Rothheimer.
Thank you, Chair Peterson, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. It's like twice in one day I get to follow excellence at Ames. So congratulations, Anne. Excuse me, prior to asking for your support and approval for 2 very worthwhile sabbatical requests, one of the things I wanted to share with you is the process by which these applications go through. The process for granting sabbatical leave is conscientious and thorough, and taking into account the value not only to the individual faculty member, but to our students as well as to the college. So a committee of faculty members who previously enjoyed a sabbatical, chaired by an academic dean, consider the applications submitted by faculty who have successfully completed a minimum of 6 academic years. Interested faculty submit their sabbatical applications detailing how their activities result in their professional growth, how it will increase their overall knowledge in their area of expertise, how their students' experience will be enhanced, how the college will benefit, And finally, how the sabbatical goals align with the Ames goals and values. So with the support of the faculty's chair, the faculty member's dean, the committee evaluates and recommends the faculty to move forward in the approval process. Then Chuck, as the chief financial officer, and myself as a chief academic officer, measure the impact and the benefit to the college, and then forward the committee's recommendations to the CEO and president, and then to the board for final approval. And then following the sabbatical leave, faculty are report out to the Board of Trustees, faculty associations and other groups, and interested students on their lessons learned. So with that due diligence in mind, I would request approval of Kathy Behe's faculty sabbatical request for the fall 2020 semester to increase her knowledge of and proficiency in advanced learning strategies. And the packet that you have in your board packet lists all of the benefits and the application process and the rubric that has gone through.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the sabbatical for Kathy Behe? Gotta get my vocals. Is there a motion?
I would so
trustees?
move.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Carol. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is carried. Okay. Dr. Rothheimer, continue.
Same due diligence of the process. So I'm requesting approval for Megan Friesen's faculty sabbatical request for the fall 2020 and spring 2021 semesters to educate and train herself and her peers in the best practices for meeting the needs of first semester students.
Is there a motion to approve this application for sabbatical leave?
I would so move.
Thank you, Lyle. Is there a second?
Second.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Mark can have that one.
Okay, Mark.
No, she got
Mark
it,
and
yeah.
Carol. So,
It's faster than me.
is there any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. That motion is carried. So, thank you very much.
Well, thank you and members of the board for supporting our faculty's professional development.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we're going to switch to a little different activity. And Carol, would you join me at the podium? If I can get up, I'll be all right.
Before you do this, I warned you I'm a crier, so there is a good use for the Ames Rally towel, so I'm ready. Go ahead.
We have that.
Mine.
You know, this is really an unfamiliar position for me, but I've learned, I've watched everybody, so the first thing you got to do is move the microphone around, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Did I do good?
You made the appropriate noises with
Very
yes.
good, okay. Well, it's my pleasure, and also to some degree with sadness, I would have to say, that thinking about saying goodbye. And as I thought about this last night, I thought, no, I'm not going to say goodbye. Simply not going to do it. But what I want to tell you is that Carol and I actually go back quite a ways. What, a couple of years or something? When?
Just a few.
Yeah, okay. We were both at the State Department of Education. And I tell you what, if it hadn't been for us two, it had probably disappeared by now, don't you imagine? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we really ran the joint.
We did, that's right, yeah, right, from the first floor or something, you know.
Well, he was on the first floor, I was on the fifth, so, you know, we had it from both ends.
She really had it on me. That's, secondly, you know, I come up here and come back home to Weld County, which is where I was raised, and I'm on the Weld County, at that time, Library Board, and guess who else is involved with the Weld County Library Board? So then I find myself on the Ames board. Guess what? here she is again. So even if I said goodbye, I'm sure she'll show up. Somewhere along the line, anyway. But in all seriousness, I just want to say to Carol, thank you. I've been on a lot of boards, I've been on a lot of committees, and I tell you what, this is one lady that is so well prepared. Every meeting, she knows exactly what's going on. She asks the right questions. She's inquisitive. She finds answers before anybody even knows the questions, I think, and just comes to the board extremely well prepared and ready to go to work. Always, always, students are on the front and center, faculty as well. And so I would say to you, Carol Ruckel, thank you, and we'll miss you.
That was to the photographer. Thank you. Of course, I left my my notes at my place, but yeah, that's all right. It's been a wonderful 8 years. The years have all been different. We've accomplished a lot. Heidi, Trustee Wendell, pardon me, she's Heidi. The Artie over there at that place is for you. That is one of the real old Arties. That was given to me by John Cordova, who ran the bookstore here for many, many years, and I think started the bookstore. He talked about the bookstore being in a trailer outside what is now Cornerstone, outside the typewriter factory. So he has a lot of history, and he gave me several Arties. One's in the case there, one's in the PE office, the bobblehead, and this is the last one. So Heidi, that goes to you. Along with I've just been dumping stuff on her. It's really too bad she's a good friend, because she's gotten all of that. But as I've thought back over, okay, so what can I point out that, that things that I'm proud of? One of the first things we did when I came on the board was build a new building in Fort Lupton. And my assignment from my predecessor, Sandy Nebb, had been make sure that we keep the Fort Lupton campus, because there was a lot of fear in the community that we would lose that campus. So getting the second building was very helpful. I don't get credit for that. But as part of that process, Marcy Liddell, the president, said, well, we need to name, now that we have two buildings, we need names for them. So they came up with Prairie and Platte, but they had them on the wrong buildings geographically. And so I will take credit for insisting that no, the Platte building is on the Platte River side of the campus, the Prairie building's on the Prairie side of the campus, so that's why that came out that way. And I think the second thing that I'm really proud of is the return of Artie, the aardvark. He was on sabbatical when I started here. I never quite could figure that out or justify that. So I went online and found a pin that's sort of an aardvark and just started wearing it to everything. And, water dripping on stone, sometimes that method works. And after 3 years, Artie made a reappearance. And I just am so proud of how integral he is to the campus and to campus life everywhere. And so I'm really proud of that and glad that Artie is back. So thank you. It's been wonderful 8 years, and I'm out the door.
Okay, next item, I believe, is to swear in our new members. I'll bet you couldn't hear this, could you, Matthew? Okay, let me start over. Okay, swearing in of the newly elected board members, and Carrie Schaefer Randolph is our board liaison, and she will do that.
My pleasure. First, we will swear in newly elected Heidi Wendell.
Okay.
Whoops. So I just need to read it correct. Yep. Well, I need you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. Okay. I, Heidi Wendell, do solemnly swear. Nathan.
It's not supposed to work.
She's hired.
Hope that's not an omen.
I, Heidi Wendell, do solemnly swear
To faithfully perform the duties
to faithfully perform the duties
of the office of District A Board of Trustees member
of the office of District A Board of Trustees member
of the Ames College District as required by law,
of the Ames College District as required by law,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws made pursuant thereto.
and the laws made pursuant thereto. Thank you.
Can I have you sign right there?
Make sure it works.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you get to the grown-up table now.
It's still too hot.
For District B, Mark Hunt.
Yeah, I think I can see.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Mark Hout, do solemnly swear
I, Mark Hout, do solemnly swear
to faithfully perform the duties
to faithfully perform the duties
of the office of District B Board of Trustees member
of the office of District B Board of Trustee member
of the Ames College District as required by law,
of the Ames College District as required by law,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws made pursuant thereto.
and the laws made pursuant thereto. I got to sign something.
You do.
Press hard, there's 3 copies, right?
Yep. Thank you, Trustee Hout.
Thank you.
For District E, Lyle Oxiger. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
It's the wrong hand.
I, Lyle Oxiger, do solemnly swear
I, Lyle Oxiger, do solemnly swear
to faithfully perform the duties
to faithfully perform the duties
of the office of District E Board of Trustees member
of the office of District E Board of Trustees member
of the Ames College District as required by law,
of the Ames College District as required by law,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
and to support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws made pursuant thereto.
and the laws made pursuant thereto. Thank you.
Okay. Congratulations, new board members, and wish you lots of success for the next 4 years. So it'll be wonderful. Next on the agenda, action item number 11 is election of officers. And just a little review or whatever, by our bylaws, we rotate the chair so that that person is in the office for only 2 years. And then we elect a new chair. So every 2 years, regularly, by bylaws, we will have a new chair. So I will now open the nominations for the president or chair of the board of directors.
I would like to nominate Lyle Ossinger as chair.
Thank you, Mark. I don't think that needs a second, does it? Nomination?
No, but he should, Lyle should accept the nomination. Or the nomination.
Okay.
Unless he sees.
Lyle, will you accept that nomination?
I'd be honored to.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further nominations? Hearing none, then I guess we could move to elect Lyle Ossinger by acclamation. Is that correct? Would somebody make that motion?
I would move.
Thank you, Mark. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. That motion is carried. And congratulations, President Ossinger.
Okay.
I gotta go to work now? Yes, right? Oh, my God. Listen, Freddie, no, you get up there.
I gotta sit up here.
I get your chair.
He gets the
You
brownie.
get that chair.
Okay, well, you can have my brownie.
He ate the grapes.
Will you leave my hog mark alone?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Switch.
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm truly honored. And I'd like to take a quick opportunity just to thank Chair Peterson for his past 2 years as chair of the board. I think you've done an exemplary job. We appreciate your leadership and your dedication to AIM. So thank you, Chair Peterson.
It's been a pleasure. I guarantee you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I guess they're going to put me to work already. So next on the agenda would be to elect the secretary. So at this time, I would like to open nominations for the secretary to the board.
Now, I would like to nominate Trustee Hout for, is it a combination vice president and secretary?
No, sir, it's secretary, but the secretary serves as vice chair.
Okay,
So they're the same.
I would nominate Trustee Hout for secretary of the board.
Okay, thank you. We have a nomination for Trustee Howe for secretary. Are there any other nominations? I would just accept the nomination for Trustee Howe since we have none other. And I would ask the question. All in favor, say aye.
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 And Trustee Howe is our secretary. Thank you, sir. So I forgot to ask you if you'd accept it, so we're going to assume.
By default.
It's too late now.
Yeah, it's too late now, yeah.
Mum's
The
the word.
train's at the station. Next is the nomination for treasurer. I would open nominations for treasurer.
I would nominate Gene O'Hara for treasurer.
Okay, we have a nomination for Gene O'Hara as treasurer. Trustee O'Hara, would you accept the nomination?
I would be honored.
Are there any other nominations? I would, I guess we just accept Trustee O'Hare as our treasurer if there are no other nominations.
Okay, all right. It's done. Oh.
Good deal.
Next on the agenda, we have to select a foundation board liaison. And I don't think that's an elected position. I think that's a selection by the board. Do we have anybody willing to serve as our liaison?
I would be willing to continue as the liaison from the trustees to the foundation board.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else that would like to serve?
Or can we have more than one?
I'm sorry?
Can we have more than one? No.
No. No, but you're certainly welcome to attend the meetings.
I think I am.
Yeah. Okay, well, if we have no other nominations, we would accept your volunteerism for the board. Thank you. Next is the proposed Board of Trustee meeting and retreat dates and meeting time. And I would invite Carrie Schaefer to the podium to discuss this with us. Thank you.
Trustees and Chair Oxiger, in your packets you have the proposed meeting dates for 2020. The dates represent a change from the first Wednesday of the month to the second Wednesday of the month. Board meetings take place on each of the Ames campuses as well as the Flight Training Center. Also included are the retreats. The first will be on January 29th, and a 2-day retreat is proposed for June 17th and 18th. We will also open up discussion for the starting time of regular meetings. So that is the action item. May I answer any questions before you deliberate?
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Why?
When we looked at the calendar for the first Wednesday of each month, there were several conflicts, so we would have had to change it to the second Wednesday. So we are suggesting to make it consistent and easier for everybody to remember to change to the second Wednesday of the month.
I believe there's a conflict with Fort Lupton on the second Wednesday a month. Their chamber meeting occurs then, and I don't know if that's going to present an issue.
Is that a conflict for you? I don't go to every meeting, so.
And what's the conflicts?
I would have to look those up. I did not make note of those on my notes. I'm sorry, Dr. B.
Dr. B, do you know?
Yeah, there's actually more than half of them are, there are conflicts in more than half. So we could actually do it one
When
by
is
one.
Celebration
More than
Week?
half.
Pardon?
We would have to let you know what the conflicts are, but when we went through the entire calendar, it was more than half of the board meetings had conflicts with other issues with the cabinet, with the college, with other things that were happening that were significant. So
I personally have no problem.
you don't have a problem. Okay.
You're okay with that? Okay.
Carol, go to the chamber.
Do you have any other questions? I do remember that Celebration Week was one of the conflicts. Other than that, I would have to get back to you.
And we did have that one, and then we just individually adjusted that one, I believe. Any other questions?
So do we
Carrie?
vote on that, or do we just assume that that's a done deal?
This is an action item, so what is being recommended is this slate of dates, which is the second Wednesday of the month. And then you'll also notice in your packet, the board meeting's taking place beginning at blank PM, because that was also a question, is whether or not you wanted to continue to begin board meetings at 1:30, or if you wanted to move them back to where they were, I think, at 2:30 or
Right.
3 o'clock. If there was another time you wanted to start board meetings. So this is the opportunity for you to have those discussions, and we should take action on your slate of meetings dates for 2020.
If I may, Mr. Chair, this was my idea of at least having some discussion on the meeting time, because I was the one that made a big issue out of it.
Yeah, I recall.
Starting at 2:30, and it was because I had cows to feed.
Sure.
And I didn't want to do it after dark, so I was being really selfish. And so anyway, now I don't have that problem. My brother's doing it. And so I just thought, well, maybe we could discuss a bit as to whether we wanted to go back to the
Sure.
2:30 or leave it at 1:30. I mean, I'm fine with either time, but just,
Well, I personally, I'm fine with 1:30, and I think it works out for a lot of people, but that's just my preference. So is there any other discussion on it? Anybody else want to go back to 2:30 or another time?
I pretty much dedicate the day
Me too.
for the
Yeah.
college. That's where, whether,
That's fine.
I'm pretty much free after 10 o'clock in the morning.
I would prefer that we stick with the 1:30 starting time.
Okay.
It gets it wrapped up by 4:30
Yeah, that's- yeah.
at the
Well, let's
latest.
make it official. Let's just have a motion to that effect.
I would make a motion that we start our board meetings at 1:30 as we have over this last year.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'll second that motion.
And we have a second, Dr. Peterson. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion's carried. Does anybody have any problems with any of the dates as they currently stand now?
I'll be gone on the 12th
Okay,
The 12th of
The 12th of
12th
which
of what month?
of February.
Of February? Okay. Any
I'd
other
be here on
conflicts?
the 5th, but I wouldn't be here on the 12th.
Okay.
So there's one conflict.
Do we know if there's any other conflicts on the 5th for big conflicts? Or should we just wait and address that one individually when it comes up? Well, we can't do that because it's our next meeting.
It's just our next meeting.
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's kind of like a, well,
I don't have that now.
Okay, we don't have that. Well, I guess my feeling on it is a lot of work went into researching these dates and everything, and if we have one trustee that, there's obviously some conflicts, that's why they move them, so I guess, Mark, I would ask you, are you okay if we go ahead and stick with the schedule?
I'm fine with it. I just
Okay.
wasn't aware we were going to do this, so that's
Exactly.
why I asked why.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, for the same reason, let's have a motion on this schedule so that it's official. I'd entertain a motion on it.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I would move that we change our meeting dates to the second Wednesday of each month.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the item that we moved from earlier. We'll make that item 11D, and that would be the mill levy certification for fiscal year 2020. And I would invite Chuck Jensen to the podium.
Thank you, Chairman Huxinger, members of the board, Dr. Bornstein. You have before you agenda item 11D. This is the certification of our mill levy that is statutorily required. Each fiscal year, the Board of Trustees is required to certify the mill levy for support of the Ames Community College District. Counties included in our tax districts have submitted the assessed valuations for taxable year 2019. Certification values are required to be approved by December 15th. So you have the action item before you. The administrative recommendation is to approve this recommendation to the board. Just a quick update or a couple quick facts about this. As you look at some of the information that was contained with the action item, 99.94% of our valuation comes from Weld County. And that I think is very interesting on that second page there, looking at the assessed valuations by each of our counties and how that assessed valuation has grown over the last 10 years. And again, we're all well aware of the impact within Weld County of the oil and gas industry that has increased the valuation for the property values in Weld County. So before you, you have a projected mill levy valuation of $83,789,729, and it's based on the following. The general appropriations mill levy of 6.299, which we talked about earlier in my VP report, where that mill levy has not changed since 1992. And then each year as a board, we are allowed to recover any refunds and abatements that were made in the previous fiscal year by the county to taxpayers within the district. And this year there was approximately $733,000 in abatements and refunds made by the county. We are allowed to recover that through the refund abatement mill levy, which is 0.056 for the year, resulting in an overall mill levy of 6.355 for the next budget year. I stand for questions.
Any questions of Mr. Jensen? Do we have a motion to approve the mill levy?
I would make a motion to approve the mill levy and take the money.
I would second that.
Do we have a second on that?
I would second that, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion and a second to certify the mill levy. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. There you go, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, information items. I believe on your packet you have a board calendar of events. I assume you've all reviewed those. Do we have any questions on them or any comments? Okay, next is the Foundation Board Liaison update. Trustee O'Hara, do you have an update for us?
Yes, as the trustee liaison to the Foundation Board, I want to give you an update on some of the exciting things happening at the Foundation. Kelly Jackson and her team and the board members. And to start with, I'll just point out that the Foundation is considering a major gifts campaign that would start in 2020. But prior to that, they're going to have a feasibility study done to determine what is the opportunity, the fundraising opportunity for such a major gifts campaign. And that feasibility study will be done the first week of February. And depending on the outcome of that feasibility study, then the decision would be finalized to move forward with the major gifts campaign mid-2020. So it's exciting. And so going on from there, I wanted to point out some notable board member additions and retirements there, particularly on the leadership side. Ned Chapin is the current board president, and his term will be up in June of 2020. So with our current schedule meeting every other month, we are, that would normally be a part of the regular routine where the vice president would potentially step up as the president of the board. However, Dr. Susan Walker, who is the vice president of the board, for personal reasons, made the decision to retire in this last October board meeting. So that left us without that routine transition from VP to president of the board. So it was decided, effective at the board meeting, that we would establish the president-elect position. And moving into that position is Dave Strode, who is a new board member, a retired Hensel Phelps executive, and he will serve as the president-elect and shadow Ned Chapin from January 1st to his completion of the president's position with the June 2020 meeting. So Dave Strout will be the president-elect, and then to replace Dr. Susan Walker as the vice president, effective in the October meeting, Diane Holmberg has agreed to step up into that position. But in addition to that restructuring, I was just going to point out some of the new board members that have joined the foundation board over the last year. And first one, Martin Lind, and I think most of you have heard of Martin, and he's a real estate developer that has been very active in the Windsor area. Most of us know about his activities. Second is Karen Corns, who is a retired Wall Street financial analyst and stockbroker. Thirdly, Jim Reesberg, who has been a long-term politician from the Greeley area and is well known to most people. And Lucas McConnell is another one. And then, as I mentioned, Dave Strout, who will be not only stepping into the president's position for the board, but will be leading the major gifts campaign if we move forward with that activity. So that's we've got a lot of new board members with some great ideas. It's going to be an active and interesting board activity in 2020. Also wanted to point out that the foundation is recruiting for an alumni and community engagement manager, and in fact has a slate of candidates that they've been reviewing and hoping to fill that position by the January 2020 board meeting. Also, as is generally done at the end of the year, they've sent out the annual year-end appeal letters. Some of you may have received those letters to assure that people know that they're open to receive contributions for those who want to make a contribution before the end of the tax year. So that is an update. Any questions? Okay, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Dave
All right.
Stroud's going to be a strong
Go ahead,
asset.
Mark.
Dave Stroud's going to be a strong asset for he's
Isn't
very
Martin Lynn on the board?
Martin Lynn too, and
Okay.
Martin's going to try to get to at least half the meetings, so he's a very busy guy, but he's promised me that, so. Get
Well,
Steve
I think-
Carrico on there, that would be another asset.
I think we have some great new members on the foundation board. I personally know Karen Corrins, and she's going to be an extremely strong asset. She's probably one of the brightest financial minds that has come around in a long time.
Off subject, but back on the previous subject, I do have a question about the ACC legislative thing. You're not going?
Am I going?
Yeah.
Planning on it.
It's February 9th to the 12th.
Oh, the ACCT is?
Yeah. And I haven't booked my flights. I can leave on the 13th.
I haven't either.
But it'd be your first meeting, Lyle.
Can we move?
Yeah.
Do you want to punt till March?
We'll get back to you on that. We'll
Okay.
have to get back to you on that.
Okay. We'll have to we'll have to
We'll
wait
have to
till they
get
get, yeah, we'll have to figure that
And it's
out.
pretty much
The
that
Wednesday
second
before.
Wednesday.
What's that?
Every
We'll have to
year.
get back to you on that, because there may
That
have
one
been a
would work
conflict.
better for me too.
There may have been a conflict there, so.
Yeah, the problem with changing it now is what's the other conflict, so.
Well, I haven't booked my plane flight. I can leave on the 13th, but.
Yeah,
it's your
and the
first-
same with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We'll
we'll
get
work,
back to you
we'll work that out.
Okay.
They'll get back to us. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Again, thank you, Trustee O'Hare, for that report.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
could I ask a question on the foundation of
Certainly.
Gene? How are we doing financially? I heard something this morning that about the Day of Giving yesterday and how great it was, and did we get anything, or did that?
I don't have the exact details. Kelly, would you want to comment, or Timothy?
Received $5,719.37.
Wow.
Well, for God's sake,
Nice.
really?
Good question.
Ask and ye shall receive.
Wow.
Okay, any other
Good,
questions?
Good, yeah. Let's do it again.
Okay, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, comments from board members. Who'd like to start?
Your conflict of interest.
Oh, did I miss one?
Yep.
Okay, forgive me, I'm new at this.
That's okay.
I'm gonna get today, though.
Yeah.
All right. Conflict of interest, Board of Trustees, Carrie.
You're doing great.
Once again, Ames Board of Trustees Policy 15 and Colorado Revised Statute 24-18-110 states that in December, each trustee shall submit to the Colorado Secretary of State a conflict of disclosure listing situations that involve actual or apparent conflicts of interest related to the institution. So I'm going to give you each the instructions on how to file that with the Secretary of State should you feel that you have any sort of conflict.
Carrie, if we don't, do we have to file, or just we have to file regardless?
Correct. If you do not have to file.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Okay, now we can move on to comments from board members. Who'd like to start?
I would, for the first time. I'm very excited about being part of this. It's more of a family than anything else. Everyone seems extremely qualified and open to new ideas and new possibilities. And I really hope, I have big shoes to fill from Ms. Reckel, but I hope I can do a good job for everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you, and welcome.
Yeah, I would just say if it's my turn, welcome, Heidi. And we certainly look forward to working with you. Of course, we enjoyed Carol, but we know that those shoes will be and can be filled, so right on. Once again, I would just always, as I guess usual, thank all the good work that the staff does and all the updates, the reports we get, the information. I just always, it's just amazing that this is every meeting I find out what an even greater organization it is than what I thought it was the meeting before. And it's just a wonderful feeling. As I tell everybody, I'm just very proud of being a part of this, and I look forward to the next 2 years anyway. The end.
Again, it's always a grateful time. Not only this time of the year, it makes you a little bit more aware of being kind and thoughtful, and maybe a little bit more yes instead of just no all the time. So I want to thank the college, the staff, the faculty, the cabinet, Dr. B, our board. We get to cheerlead you through the year, through our all of our changes and what we want to do. We get to accept money that, golly, we have to vote on it. It's amazing. But I am very grateful that, we have what we have. And we have a lot more to offer, and this community knows that, but they will know a lot more as time goes on, and the board. Thank you.
And I'll just say it was a good meeting. I thought it was very informative. And I too learned new things about the good programs that Ames offers with each meeting. But good board meeting, fun to be a part of this group.
Well, thank you all. Again, a great meeting, great group of people. As always, my favorite part of the meeting is excellence at Ames. I just loved Abby's presentation. I think Abby exemplifies, as do all of our excellence at Ames students. She exemplified the opportunities and the successes of our students, and not only our students, but our Ames programs, and what they can do for our children, our future. Ames does a tremendous job. I really like hearing about how they get out into the community, local community, and the bigger community. My gosh, we've all heard about how we even are recognized nationwide in some of our programs. So Ames has a tremendous legacy. We all, every year, have big shoes to fill from those who have gone before us and left that legacy. So I'm very, very proud to be part of it. And we have some challenges ahead of us with the rapid increases in technology and healthcare and all of the other things that we see on the forefront and we hear about every day. But, you know, we have a great team here, and I think we're up for it. And I think Ames is going to be recognized more and more as we move into the future for all the work that you all do and we all do as a team. So thank you for that. So with that, we always do assessment of the board meeting, and we typically don't go through this, but you all have it in front of you. You know, what did we learn, what worked, what didn't? Did we focus on oversight, et cetera, et cetera? Did everybody have an opportunity to speak? Anybody feel that we didn't meet any of that criteria?
Nope. I think we did very well.
Yeah, I would, from your comments, I would say that, you know, we had a great meeting and we certainly met all those. So, well, with that, one more comment. This is our last meeting this year, so we'll see you all next year. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Please be safe out there as you travel with your families and your friends and get together and celebrate this special season. So we have one more thing to do, and that's to adjourn the meeting. And Heidi, would you like to make your first motion?
Oh, I would like to adjourn. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Thank you.
I'll
Happy
second
holidays,
that.
yes.
And Dr. Peterson would second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much.